Welcome to the Rooted Warriors, the podcast where the bonds of sisterhood are not just celebrated, but explored through laughter, tears, and everything in between. Join me and my two dearest friends as we dive deep into the roots of our own friendships, sharing stories and challenges. Whether you're looking for inspiration, advice, or just a good story, we're here to bring a piece of our sisterhood right into your life.
Hello, my sweethearts. Welcome back to a transformative episode of Rooted Warriors. This year, we've embraced a theme of purging and rebuilding. For the first half of the year, we're letting go of anything that no longer serves us, focusing on a different area each month. As we shift to the second half of the year, it's all about rebuilding. Each month, we'll introduce a positive change or a mini goal aimed at enhancing areas like wellness, relationships, and personal growth.
Welcome, everybody.
Hey,
Welcome
how are you
to
guys?
Hello.
So good. And we have Robbie here as a guest with us today in our fourth chair.
Oh my goodness.
Good to be back.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. I only thought it was going to be one episode, but hey, stay for 10.
Hey.
Stay forever.
The
Yeah, right?
knowledge
Never leave.
that we are able to receive from him is just so enlightening. You know, how old are you again?
27.
Because it's like he's 75.
No, 100%. That's why I
Right?
kept saying,
Literally.
Yeah.
you're young. I'm so cool. It's so cool he's figured this out.
I wish I had figured it out by then.
right.
Right?
I don't
Took
have
me 50
anything
years.
figured out.
But that's what you've figured out, that you don't have to have everything figured out, which is a huge deal.
Mhm. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
100%.
And you're not living by anyone else's standards,
Mm-mm.
which is really important. And it's something that I think you don't learn until your 40s, 50s, 60s. Some people never learn it.
Mhm.
But that's what I see out of you. You live your own life the way you want to live it. And I like that.
I received that. And it's been a process. Like we were talking about purging, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Pur-
the big topic of today.
Yeah.
Mm.
Purging perfectionism.
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
That's
Yeah,
a
there's
problem for me.
So
Yeah.
many
Type A
ways.
personality
yeah.
likes everything perfect.
So
Yeah,
many
right?
ways we can purge, right?
Yeah.
And purge things that eat at our energy, like
Yes.
perfection.
Yeah.
You know, we're thinking, like, for me, it would be being raised in my household and thinking that that's the way that things progress and things happen, right? And thinking, okay, no, that's not it. Like, I get to build my own way too. I wish I
Yeah.
would have figured it out at 28. You
It would
know?
have changed the whole.
Yeah.
Your whole life.
My whole
Weird,
life.
but weird perspective on that is not to be morbid, but he has lived how many years he has lived. He has no idea when his expiration date is. We got to the age where we could outlive him for another 30 years.
True.
You know what I mean? And what I'm saying
That
is,
scares me.
I
but
know.
True.
I'm
But
saying,
I agree with that.
but
Yeah.
you know what? We never know how much time we have, so it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter when you do
Maybe
the learning
he's
is the
Benjamin
point.
Button, and we don't know. It.
Maybe.
You guys are on to me.
I knew there was something.
It's reverse aging on us.
But do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it doesn't really matter. I guess you were saying it doesn't matter the age, and it just clicked with me as she was saying that. I get it because it's like as long as it happens.
As long as it happens, you only have life until you don't have life.
until you expire.
Until you
Yeah.
expire.
I was trying to be nice.
So you could look at the past and be like, oh, I could have done this. I should have done this. I should have been this. Oh my gosh.
Does no good.
It does no good because you're living right now. And then
Fix
you're-
it now.
Now
Yeah.
you're looking in the past like, what can I, like.
Don't repeat the behavior.
Yeah.
Right.
We were talking about earlier about feedback, right? Like just taking life as it comes and then not taking things personal about the outcome, just using it as information for you to grow.
To be better.
Yeah, to be better.
So
I
one
like
of the
it.
things you said was that, getting rid of stuff that takes our energy, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know about you guys, but this is true for me personally, is that when my space is cluttery, it really upsets my energy. It gives me, I always tell everybody, oh, this gives me anxiety. This gives me anxiety.
Mhm.
And it actually does. So part of my purging that we talked about was me in my garage. I have that whole cabinet thing that's supposed to be for kitchen stuff for me that you use once in a while that I haven't seen stuff or used it in like 5 years, right? When I went out there on New Year's Eve to get my big crock pot, I went out there and I was like, oh my gosh, this garage is a nightmare. It's giving me anxiety. And I'm like, I'm going to purge you. I'm going to purge you.
Get
I'm going
rid
to
of
sell
it.
you. I'm going to purge, sell, give away, purge. It was like, I cannot wait to be free of stuff that does not serve me.
Perfect. That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. Coming into the new year.
Yeah. I want a clean slate.
Yeah.
You know, and not getting rid of things that are useful and that we're using, obviously. And obviously we paid good money for things. We don't want to be wasteful, but it's wasteful if it's just sitting there and no one's using it.
And we talked
Such a great
about
point.
one of our last episodes about like everything coming for full circle, right? And that at this point yesterday, not today, but like it all just coming to a peak, like ahead. And I think that everybody's seeing it. The amount of people that I talk to that are like, I want to go back to my roots. I want to grow my own food. I'm done with this. I want chickens. I want to start making my own food and feeding my baby naturally instead of stuff out of the supermarket. And, you know, I can calm a fever with this instead of Tylenol, and just like really going back, you know, 150 years to where we started before we started growing this mountain of chaos. And that's what I feel like it is. I look around my house and I'm like, all of this stuff that I bought just to momentarily feel an empty spot that I thought was going to make me happy. Right. And now I'm just sitting on a mountain of it. Right.
And it goes back to our roots, right? Like Andy always says, you know, it goes back to the trauma or whatever. But, you know, when you grow up poor or in a lower middle class or however, and all of a sudden you have the means, you buy, because you're like, I can buy that. Oh, I'll get a new one. I don't need a used one. I can have a new one because I grew up on thrift store stuff and hand-me-downs and stuff that is just no. So you want the best of the best. And so then you start to gather more and more and more of it.
Yeah.
How many wooden spoons do I need?
Yeah.
I went through, you know, like I said, I cooked yesterday, I cooked today, and I must own 10 wooden spoons.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of that? I went through and I was peeling potatoes at Thanksgiving. I have 3 potato peelers.
Right.
Do I need that? And I don't know it. And it's been an eye opener for me that I was replacing my childhood in my adulthood, and now it's sucking my adulthood from me.
I think that we're the generation that did it
that.
because my parents didn't do it. My mom still to this day at my dad's house, there's probably the same potato peeler
Forever.
that I grew up with.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. My mom never had to go buy another potato peeler, not because this one was wrapped in red and it's prettier and it was made by, you know, Kate Spade or whoever.
So true.
Kate Spade potato peeler.
Right. But it's like, they didn't do that. They're not that generation, right? We are because we grew up in, the majority of us maybe grew up in that lack.
Your parents had the same couch your entire life. You know, my parents had the same one from the 70s.
Right.
You know, and you guys know which one I'm talking about. It's the brown one and it's that smooth.
Is it velvety?
Velvety. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so like they all had the same thing for her, the same clothes. My mother-in-law, when she died and she was 91 or 92, I'm blanking out. And she had clothes that was older than I am.
Mm-hmm. I'm into it though. I love that.
But I mean, it's so cool. Great. I think it's awesome. But I've never done that in my life. You know, like everything is disposable or I just buy more.
Yeah.
And so this is the year, girls.
I think this is the year that we stop with the Walmart crap, the junk, the shit that's coming in from China. And if I needed a wooden spoon, I'm going to go to, you know, somewhere where it's going to like a small business.
If you need a wooden spoon, I have 10. I would love to give you one. If you're
but it's like,
but
do you know what I mean? It's supporting people who are, it's here. It was made here.
Yeah.
You know, and that wooden spoon is going to be something that, you know, my daughter remembers and it's, you know, passed down. It's buying things with meaning.
Well, we were talking about Amazon Prime 2 episodes ago or whatever, and we were joking about not being able to let go of our Prime. At the same time, all we have to do is go to the actual website where they make it and support them from there and not utilize that middleman.
Support that Etsy girl where her husband's out in the shed.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
So
keep our money here.
Exactly. So we talked about mini goals.
Right.
And so I was thinking that as we go through, like, this is like the physical purge that we're talking about right now.
Right.
So I was thinking maybe each of us could talk about what is a physical purge that we want to do this month for our mini goal.
Okay.
So for January, what's everyone's mini purge physically that they want to get rid of?
Okay. Before we get into that,
Oh, okay.
I was curious. Are you guys open to a reframe?
Sure.
Let's
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I don't even know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
But somehow we were like, yeah, we
I
did.
did. I thought it was like a 1980s reframe.
Reframe, you know?
It's like whenever he speaks, we're all three of us are just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yes, of course.
Of
yes.
course.
I'm like
excited.
a clapping monkey
Yes.
for Robbie.
So-
Like, yeah, Robbie, yeah, Robbie.
So check this out, right? We're talking about this. There's a stigma behind having all this stuff, right? Having an excess of stuff, right? And I think in our day and age, we've gone from a society that comes from tradition, value, culture, and then sustainability, longevity, to a materialistic culture, right? That lacks meaning, right? And so we had to experience an abundance of material things to discover we don't need any of it.
I love that.
You know what I
like
mean?
that.
You don't know till you know.
You don't know until you know. So
Don't know till you know.
now I have 10
I
wooden
love that.
spoons. It's like, you know.
I was like happy to have one back in my
Yeah.
day. I
From
just
my
didn't want it on
grandma,
butt.
you
I just
know?
didn't want it on my butt, you know?
Exactly.
That's so great.
I love
Reframe.
that. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good
So
one.
the purging, right?
Yes.
Right.
So what's one physical thing that you're going to try to purge this month?
Not try. We're
You're
No,
going
we're
to.
going
It's
to.
We're
our
doing it.
goal.
What
It's
are
our
you
goal.
purging?
We're
Yeah,
committed.
like,
We're
because
committed.
we're going to call you on it here next time.
Honestly, this month I have told myself that I'm working on my home.
Yeah.
Because my home is my safe place. My home is my peace. And when we started doing this podcast and it starts opening up our eyes a little more to things, right? And it's like I spent all this time gathering and thinking I was feeling something, right? This was going to make my home, or we look at other people's homes and we think that's what they should look like.
Oh, right.
And I did it. I filled it and I filled it and I filled it. And I have, my parents probably have the same set of sheets as when I was a kid. I mean, no shit, there's nothing wrong with them. They've washed them, 1,000 times and
Right.
they still last. I probably got
I do new sheets all the time.
I do. Every time I'm at Costco, I buy new sheets. So
I have 2 pairs for my bed. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
that chick.
I have
love
a
it.
sheet.
I love it.
I have a sheet closet.
Yeah.
Like I needed to buy those bags where you vacuum seal them
Yes.
because I have so many sheets. For what? Some people don't have sheets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How about if I just wash the sheets that are on the bed?
Right.
Right.
I need
Yeah.
I need 2 pairs of sheets for my bed.
Right.
One for one is washing.
Yep.
Right.
That's it.
And that's it.
Mhm.
And so I've really spent time thinking this is how I need to purge the chaos in my life because it's built up into chaos.
Mm-hmm. But
And
you
I
get
need to let go of it and just really fall in love with the simplicity of life.
Yes.
Like I don't need 10 wooden spoons either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, and imagine what will come through to you now that you create space for it.
Ah,
Mhm.
that's such a
Yes.
good point.
Yeah.
One of the things that Gina said kind of like triggered something in my mind because she was saying how she got in this habit of going out and gathering stuff. Well, I mean, our natural habit is to hunt and gather, right? So since we don't make our own food or hunt our own food or, pick our own fruit or all these things, I mean, we don't even go to the grocery store anymore. We get Instacart, right?
Right.
So now that's her form of gathering, hunting and gathering is getting all these things for her home, for her clothes that she wears, things like that. So that just kind of,
Maybe it's like my
Struck me.
soul trying to figure it out.
yeah,
And then
it just
I'm like,
it just struck me out of nowhere.
To
I don't
me,
know
it's
why.
like you're filling a void with material things because there's something missing there. And so somehow we look outwardly for that thing instead of figuring it out here instead.
Mhm.
At
Like
least for
shopping
me,
therapy.
that's how it is. I'm
Shopping
just like,
therapy,
exactly.
yeah.
I could
It's like-
resonate with that.
Yeah, it's like I feel some certain way, and so when you
Yeah.
go shopping, or whatever. I don't shop a lot, but like when you fill it with something else that doesn't
Yeah.
belong there,
It
and it
makes
doesn't
sense.
fit, you're like shoving it in there.
Yeah.
You're like fill that hole.
It's
or
like
that
any
void.
other
Yeah.
bad habit,
Yeah.
right? Whether it be drinking, smoking, drugs, shopping, you know,
Right.
whatever it is, these are bad habits that don't create anything good.
And suck your energy too.
They suck your energy. So, Robbie, what's something physically that you're going to purge?
So I mentioned last time I'm moving to LA, so it's been amazing to declutter. So it's just like you said, unnecessary things. Like I feel like I've adopted a lot of things from my parents, like physical things, right? Because of the way things have transpired, and now it's like, okay, I'm finally taking that step out to create my own space, my own home. And it's like, what do I need to bring? What am I responsible for? And what can I get rid of? And so, it's like literally all I really care to bring is my guitar, my albums, my computer, and everything else can go. Like
Your razor, his razor, his shears.
my shears, my kit. That's about it.
Just what you need.
Yeah.
His art tools.
What about you, Andy?
I'm a little bit like Robbie. And I think when I think about, because we all have different finances and things like that. But overall, I don't know what it is. I just don't buy a lot. Your brother's sort of the same way. We just don't. That said, I feel like there's a cluttering downstairs that has a lot to do with our life together with the boys and things like that. And I don't want to get rid of it. So I just put it in a box and put it on a shelf, which is serving no one. I mean, there are some sentimental things that you hold on to, but not everything deserves any kind of, really nothing deserves attachment that's like materialistic or earthly. If you think about it, it's not that big of a deal. But I have these boxes of, I don't even know what's in them, but there's like art and broken clay pieces. And it's just, if you saw the room, I think maybe Gina saw, if you see the room, it looks like a garage. Really, we have shelves up with giant tubs in it, but really it's just things that I've collected over the years that I thought somehow would serve me in another way later. And I think they're more memory type stuff. And it's just not necessary for me, like, to hold on to all of it. And I want to declutter and clean out that room to, like he said, to make more space.
I think that's smart.
Put some equipment in there for our work, that type of thing, so I can progress.
So it serves purpose.
Exactly. Right now it's just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And why? It's just taking up space.
And what's funny is that when kids get older and you give them some of the stuff that you save, they're like, what's this? Why did you save this?
Why do you have 3 boxes of my art?
This doesn't make any sense. Like my brother-in-law, Ray, when his girls were long out of the house, they all had children except for one, had children of their own. He went through their storage unit because he, like my husband, is a pack rat.
Bob's a pack rat?
Oh, to the nth degree. Oh. And they get emotionally attached to things. And they, like, my husband has saved almost every piece of clothing from my children's childhood. Bikes that they rode on, toys that they played with, on and on and on. Anything that had anything to do with our children, I would throw out because I'm a get rid of it. And Bob would go and hoard it and put it in storage unit. So we have 2 huge storage units full of children's stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. And so our garage is similar. He collects and gathers, kind of like what Gina's talking about. And then that kind of takes over that space. But anyways, back to Ray. So Ray went through his storage unit and brought truckloads of the girls' stuff. And these girls were like 30 at this time, right? Brings them bikes that they used to have, all these little toys, just like Bob, same kind of thing. And they literally like almost laughed at him. It was for Christmas. He brought it to him for Christmas one year. And they're like,
heart would have broken.
They're like, why did you bring this? Dad, this is silly. Why are you still holding on to this?
Right.
And I can see their perspective. Like, this is silly. Like, why are you so attached to it?
What am I going to do with 3 bike frames?
But I think that that's just, for some reason, they associate the love that they have with that child to that item.
I think what I'm doing is holding on to a part of my life where I thought I did find happiness, and somehow I was in control of that time in a sense. You know what I mean? So I am holding on to it with like both hands, when in reality, I just need to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you? What are you purging, Monica?
So like you, I want to go through my home, right? So what I'm going to start with is I want to start with that cabinet that's out in the garage. And by the way, to get to that cabinet, I have to step over 50 million things that have gathered in that area. And I always say, like, the garage and Bob's office are not my space. That's Bob's space. But this cabinet is Mo's item, right? And there's probably miscellaneous items in that garage that are Mo's that she said, Bob, put this away for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so I have to step to get to these things. So I want to clear the path.
Yeah, there's not a lot of routes in and out of that
There's
garage.
no route.
There's a path.
So I want to clear the path to my cabinet. I want to go through my cabinet. Like I said, purge what I'm not going to keep, sell what I want to sell. Then I'm going to go into my pantry where I have all my entertainment stuff. Like I have platters, I have these different things for parties. I'm going to move them into that space so that way I can completely organize and clean my pantry. So that's my first mini goal. And I know it
You're
sounds silly,
downsizing.
but I want to get rid of stuff because like I talked about last episode, I really want to get property and change our entire lifestyle. No one's on board with me right now. I talked about it.
They never are, but it ends up being something great in the end.
I found this amazing piece of property with a home on it that's on the river in Oakdale. And
Is it off Orange Blossom?
no, but it is kind of that area and it's really amazing. But I don't think it'll be that piece of property, but that's like my vision for the end of 2025 is something
Ooh.
similar to that. So, you know, I know it's just kind of tough because like right now I could get a good price for my home. But by the time I'm ready to act, I won't get a good price for my home, but I'll get a great price on that. So anyway, so that's my
even
mini
if
goal.
you got a good price for your home right now, to rebuy, you won't get a good price.
No, and then I'll be at a high interest.
Exactly. So
But
it's not
anyway,
worth
so
it.
the mini goal is to get that space cleaned and
So I have a challenge for everybody.
Do it.
Okay.
What is it?
Let's take a video
Okay.
of our progression throughout the month.
I like
Oh,
that.
So maybe like a before and
heavens.
after.
Love it.
And
Love
then we just keep each other
Accountable.
for it. And in the end, maybe it's something that we can put up for
Everyone to
our,
see?
our
I love
viewers.
it.
Yeah.
What
Great.
a good
Our listeners.
idea.
That's
Don't
cool.
Yeah.
forget, like, remind me of
No,
that.
I mean, I wrote it down.
Oh, yeah, you guys.
I love that. I love that.
I was like, I'm going to forget.
This is so great. Yes,
Yeah.
we should do that.
So before and after photos for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Or even like
and
little
progression.
Yeah, progression, little, tidbits,
Yes.
So
another thing that you can purge is emotional baggage, right?
yeah.
So toxic relationships, unresolved feelings. So I thought that each of us could say an emotional purge that we're going to make.
Let's start with Robbie on this one.
Robbie.
Oh, you guys are too
Guru
kind.
time.
It's all on you, bud.
spot.
Gentlemen's
up with
first.
something.
That's right. That's right.
Don't mind if I do. What are we talking about again?
So releasing emotional baggage. So whether that be a toxic relationship or unresolved feelings.
Dang, I feel like I've been in this process all year.
It's great.
Yeah.
Do you have anything left that needs to be purged like
I
that?
think there's a lot left.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to, so I've let go of resentment towards my parents, let go of resentment towards some family. I think emotionally there's still definitely some resentment towards family, or even resentment towards myself, right? That like holds myself back. And that's like still within the conversation of the toxic shame. For the most part, I can rewire that. Like I could catch myself and choose not to identify with it. And but yeah, there are still some glimmers of that. Emotionally, honestly, another thing is just writing, purging my emotions, like you guys are saying, more often, either journaling,
Ooh, good one.
or
Love that.
even in my music, being able to just pour whatever I'm feeling onto paper, good, bad, ugly, and just like have that be a transmutation of that energy and make it something magical or make it something unique. And so I think
like that.
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. I feel like I'm purging constantly, like clearing mentally, emotionally, meditating, grounding, and like that keeps me sound. And so I have that practice, and
I love that.
yeah.
What about you, Gina?
Something that I would want to purge, like mentally, that I think is maybe physically exhausting, is the never mind, I'll do it.
It's just
I'll
easier
just do
if
it.
I do it myself.
I'll do it myself. Never mind. And then it's the anger. Then it's the slamming the dishes. Then it's the slamming doors because I'm angry that I overdo and I I feel like if I overdo, they should overdo, right? You should do it. If I'm over loving you and over gifting you and over this, then I should get it back, right? You should give it back to me. I think is how I somehow that's how I see it, how I view it, right? So then why not me, right? So if I can give and give and give, and then I ask something very simple, like, I need help with this. Do you think you could come over? But it doesn't happen. Where I was trained through my whole life that if I was asked to jump, I did it. How high? Where do you want me to jump? How many times do I jump? Where do I go? What do I do? In almost a state of panic. But just getting rid of that expectation of wanting that back and just doing it out of love, I guess. I don't know. I'm so over myself sometimes, and then expecting a result from somebody else, and then the expectation of it not coming through, and then I'm upset. It's like I'm making poison and then drinking it. Myself.
So what is the story you're holding on to about that?
I don't know. Would you help me?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Where does that come from? I don't know. It's something programmed inside of me.
So what I heard was that there's a bit of there's an expectation, and expectations are contracts with yourself such that you won't be happy until it's met. Right? So there's an expectation from other people, and their actions you're taking personally, right? Because there's some need that you're not getting, right? So what can you do for yourself such that you are able to fulfill that need? And there's also the identification of the need, right? Because then you can set boundaries with the people you're in relationship with, or requests such that, if I'm asking for some support, I would appreciate it if we're able to schedule time to get this thing done, or something, such that you don't feel left out in the cold.
Yeah. That's so good.
It was good.
Thank God we're recording this.
I know.
Oh, we're recording?
So good.
You mean it's not just a conversation?
I said
it's like an ugly cycle. And I guess, a lot of it would stem, from my mother, because it's what she did.
100%.
That's exactly what she did. And sometimes she wouldn't tell you that she wanted or needed help. She expected you to know, which Gina does the same thing.
Yeah.
So like Gina said that she would say, oh, well, I need your help on this. She usually doesn't say that. She says that in her head, but she expects it, but doesn't ask for it. And 99% of people can't just read your vibe, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But she does that because her mother did the same thing. And
the stakes were high to get it wrong is what I'm saying, in a sense, right? Like emotionally, did she expect you to kind of perform like when she needed something?
No. I mean, there were already grounds and expectations that we already knew. It wasn't like that. It was an emotional thing with her mom, because like physically she knew that she had to do certain things, and her mom would verbalize those. But I think what I'm referring to is like when Gina needs somebody emotionally and she doesn't know how to say it, and her mom didn't either. They just expected you to know that. And they thought, well, I've done all these things for you. You should know I need you. And it's like, bro, like, I'm not in your head. Like, now I know how men feel with their wives. Like, how the hell are you supposed to know that? Where if you tell someone, I need you emotionally. But the funny thing is that her and her mom were literally the persons that you didn't need to tell that you needed someone. So because that is their way, they expected it to be your way. But most people don't operate like that.
Yeah.
But she learned that from her mom. But I also think that it's just genetically in her like her mom. So that's what I see when she says these things.
What comes up for me is the the passing down. So Carl Jung said all children are tasked with the unfinished lives of
Their parents.
of their parents,
Yeah.
right? And so this is just the extension of your spiritual journey of you learning self-love, you know? So for me, what comes up for me is unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments.
I just heard that
Yeah,
today.
it's something that's been coming
That's
around.
perfect.
Right?
That's meant that you were supposed to hear that.
I just heard that today.
Yeah, so
You didn't hear it good
No,
enough because
I
God wanted you
swear-
to hear it again.
Yes.
You didn't hear it good enough.
yeah.
That's it.
I'm going to show you guys when we're done. I bookmarked it on my phone.
That's
because it was
crazy.
something I wanted that I heard. And then I was like, ugh.
It is.
And then I wanted to say here.
Yeah.
He speaks. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, he speaks.
So it's beautiful. Now it's like, okay, well, what do you need in order for you to be seen, heard, understood, and loved?
Yeah, because there's still a
Well,
validation
my mom
there
back
in a
on
sense.
earth.
Oh.
Yeah. This is all my mom's fault.
It's-
I'm sure of it. No.
I would say communication's key. So if you feel left out in the cold, addressing it would make you feel better, would you say? Right. So being clear with your relationships. So that could be the thing, is that when you feel something, express it, not thinking that it has to be perfect, but just so that you guys are on the same page.
Word.
You know, so you go to whoever it is you need to work with and ask them, request that you have some space so that you can vent, or that, you know, we can clear something up. Such that, you know, I care about you and I want this relationship to work and I don't want to hold resentment towards you. And so I just want to say this. I know you're not a bad person. You probably didn't mean it, but this is how this experience made me feel,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
And then,
And
you
not
know,
fear that you're going to lose that relationship by speaking
Regardless
truth.
their response.
Because that's your truth.
Yeah.
Right.
And you should be allowed to speak that in any relationship.
and validate the feelings and not attack the person. Like,
Yes.
these are just my feelings. It doesn't mean it's
It's
true.
really true.
Yeah, it's just how I'm feeling about the situation, and like, what do you? How do you feel? You know, and
That's so perfect.
maybe we can work something out such that I don't have to feel this anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
like that.
And I think that's good advice. Like women, when we're dealing with our husbands and significant others, is just because we feel a certain way or we feel he said it a certain way or that he meant it this way doesn't mean he did. That's how we felt. But he needs to respect the fact that this is how it made me feel. Doesn't mean you're right and he's wrong. We're just expressing and we just want to be heard. And vice versa. He should feel safe to express that without us getting defensive.
Right.
And, you know, feeling like he's attacking us.
Because when we feel
Great point.
attacked, we project attack. So then they're like, oh, whoa, where is this coming from? You know? So when you feel secure in, I can just feel this. And are you okay at the moment to experience this with me? Can we explore this? Are you open to that? Oh, not right now? Well, when can we do it?
Right.
You know? Because that's going to be the barrier within our relationship. you know?
Agreed. What about you, Andy? What's something that you're emotionally going to
Well,
release?
I was going to go to you, Mom.
I skipped me again. You're like, how I do that? I'm like, I don't want to do that. I was going to Andy.
You know, I was sitting here trying to think, and I was going to piggyback on yours, and I was going to piggyback on yours, and they both hold so much because I can relate to both of them so much. So, but what mine is, as I thought about it a little bit more, because I had that moment, I used to be more creative than I am now. Like being a mom and the dinners I cooked or making my own laundry soap like we talked about, or
So excited about this,
seriously,
by the way.
I would make their deodorant and their toothpaste and like all these different things. And because it was not popular at the time, I was very ridiculed for it by I'm talking not just friends, but like step parents of my boys and like just my boys in general, because they would hear from other people and things like that. And it would come back and it's a weird give up sort of. And I don't like saying that out loud. It makes me a little bit sad because I don't give up, but I did. I quit cooking in the kitchen. I would cook from scratch, and you can ask my husband. Now he has to go, what's for dinner? Because I'm like, I don't know, because I don't want to. I just feel like I was, it sounds weird because I wasn't being maybe it's not appreciated because it's not like I expected that in return. It was just, I didn't expect the negativity about it. And it was I homeschooled and my boy was injured by a vaccine. And so like everything about it was very controversial and I lost a lot of people over that. So it was really rough. So I think journaling those things down and like being able to read my own thoughts and not having certain expectations, and at the same time being able to say what I feel in the moment and making room for myself to be creative again.
Yeah, I like
in the
that.
kitchen, outside in the garden, like all that. I found so much love and joy there. And somehow I need to purge that out of me so I can create again.
Yeah.
Does that sound strange?
Not at all.
Not at all.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And it's
I feel
like what we're saying, the first 6 months is to purge
Mm.
and then it becomes the rebuild. So maybe yours is purge and rebuild at the same time, through each month.
Well, so there's a concept, right? We were talking about breath, right? I love just the illustration of breath, right?
Right.
So when you,
I'm sorry, you're just going to say something about breathing
Yeah.
for me. And I'm an incredibly shallow breather.
Yeah.
And I just feel like you're going to and that's something that I need to work on and it would help me. But
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead. I need to hear this.
So most people breathe wrong, right? Most people breathe in their chest, and that's where the shallowness comes from. It's because, you're just,
I'm right here.
yeah.
Always.
So you want to be breathing lower into your diaphragm, and that's where singing comes from and whatnot. So,
Is that why I can't sing?
yet,
right?
we're gonna work with this.
She hasn't found
Yes.
it.
Not a
Yeah.
chance.
Yes.
Look at her.
Her singing's like her directions,
It's so true.
her navigational
My
skills.
navigational skills and singing. Not good.
So the breath, right, is the diaphragm is what really gives that body, is really gives that weight, and also it's the fullness of the breath. So when we breathe shallow, you are only recycling 20-40% of the breath in your lungs. So if you do a full breath and exhale, then you could recycle it all out, right?
You know what's so strange about you saying this is I literally can't. When I say I can't, I just mean that I struggle to actually catch my breath. If I say, okay, I need to, I couldn't do that. I can't breathe and catch my breath. I do it at night and I have to sit up in the middle of the night in order to catch my breath like that. And I think it has everything to do with this immature way of intake of my breath and exhale, like control that I have of it.
And that's where meditation practice could be very beneficial. But back to the idea of the breath, right?
Yeah.
Meditation will be an amazing practice such that you can focus on that aspect of yourself, right? Because the fuller you are able to breathe, like people don't know how much this affects. You breathe like thousands of times throughout the day. It's something that's so underlying. So, and we don't know how to breathe, right? But the illustration that I wanted to paint was the breathing has 4 parts. I told you guys this before. So the inhale, the hold, the exhale, and the suspension. And now when you are breathing, when you inhale, you could only take in so much. So when you're holding on to things, you're holding on to life, like there's a capacity that happens, right? Once you hit that capacity, the only thing left is to let go. Because when you let go, purging, then you're able to receive more. Inhale.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I caught my breath actually, but not, I don't know if that was, I don't know. I just caught my breath. But
I think Robbie made you lose your breath.
Was that it? Are you taking my breath
I
away
have
from
that
me?
effect on women. My
Robbie,
bad.
our life guru, seriously, you have like a little answer for each of us that actually is so incredibly relevant to the situation.
I
It's
just
so
love
weird.
these. I just love these topics. It's like we
It's
could
good. It's
discuss
fun.
these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, my love?
So for me, mine is getting rid of the feeling of being guilted by others. So some of it is my perception of what they're saying or not saying as being guilt. And so I started thinking about that because one of the number one flaw that I hate in people is I hate selfish people. It really angers me. So I've spent my whole life not wanting to be selfish. So I give, do. So that way I'm not selfish, right?
Okay.
So when people guilt me, I feel compelled to do because I have been guilted. and I don't want to be perceived as selfish. So that is something that I want to get rid of on both sides. So I don't want to feel like saying no is selfish anymore, because I always feel like if I say no, it's being selfish. And I also shouldn't assume that this person is trying to make me feel guilty by what they're saying. So I am going to try to release that emotional baggage that I have.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
Guilt is so, I said paralyzing earlier, but seriously, talk about not being able to breathe.
Yeah.
It's like suffocating.
And you know what brought that up for me was when we had our Christmas wrap up with Angela,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about family guilt,
Yeah.
guilting for holidays and different things. And that's what got me thinking about that. So I spent the whole week where that was like playing on my mind. And there was a couple things that happened this week where I felt guilted that I should do something. And I was like, no, I'm going to set up my boundary like I talked about and let them know, no, that wasn't the deal. This is what I said I would do. And I will do this.
Wow.
But it was really difficult for me on a lot of levels, but it also was the way it should be.
Are you being inspired by the Rooted Warriors?
It's really weird. Yeah.
Look how transformational it is, just being in a space where you can unfold these things.
Well, when else would you think about it or actually give it enough energy and time to rectify it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Instead, we just kind of and then we just move on to the next
Exactly.
thing.
We're just, in the momentum of things.
Exactly. So the last thing would be mental purging. So we had the emotional. This is mental. So breaking free of unproductive habits, or like we had talked about last podcast, limiting beliefs. So what is something, and I'll start with Gina. Sorry, Gina, you hate me. What is something that you'd like to break free of for our mini goal that's an unproductive habit or a limiting belief?
Shit, man.
It's a tough one. I mean, it's not easy.
That's a tough one. And then, like, for me, a goal this year is to not use the word trauma again.
Yeah, because it's overwhelmed our lives.
It has.
Trauma
And
has overwhelmed our lives.
I don't want to go back and rediscover why I'm so fucked up.
Yeah.
Right. I just want to stop and then just go forward with here, now, who I am as a person now. I don't want to rediscover anything from my past. I really don't. Like, I just don't want to hear it because I can live there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
have lived there for so long.
Yeah. I can just live and stay there. And so even right now, when you said that to me, the first thing that like went into my chest, like into the core of me, would be a limited belief that was received from my mother.
Yeah.
And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a lot of things. And then that's where I put it on her.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know where it came from, but it came from a childhood of, what are you, fucking stupid?
That's where it came from. Yeah.
What are you, stupid? What are you, stupid? And, and then that's what I heard as a very small child. Right. So then, then I was held back. Yeah. And then I was stupid. Mm-hmm. And then I had reading issues. And then I had speech issues. And my whole life was, what are you, stupid? What are you, dumb? I have one, my sister who's always said, my mom would say, she's my smart one. She's my book smart, my intelligent daughter, or Greg, little Greg, who's going to be smart like his father. And then there's Gina.
Which is so weird because when your brother and I talk about you, your brilliance is overwhelming. No,
but it's
joke.
But it's not something that was installed into me as a kid, right?
It's easy to say. I get it. You don't receive it in a sense like that.
But it always goes back. No matter whether I wanted to feel that right now when you said that to me, right? It wasn't something that was on my mind. Like, I'm accumulating this thought during this thing. It was, you said that to me. And that was the, what just hit me was, the limited belief that I'm not smart.
Well, the beauty about
I'm not
dealing
intelligent,
right.
You know,
Well, the beauty about dealing with the trauma is then never having to go back there again because it's been dealt with and you know what happened. You know that she had her limitations and her limiting beliefs and sense like that. And she shouldn't have been saying certain things. You would never have said such a thing to your kids or your grandchildren. You would never say that to Gigi.
Right.
So as an
You know?
adult, right? And forgetting the word trauma.
Right.
It's not, it's because you're not a problem.
Mm-mm.
We might have problems, but you're not a problem,
Mhm.
right? You're not an idiot.
Right.
So what does it look like for you to purge that?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would you like some support?
Yes.
Yes. So there's a limiting belief that you're an idiot,
Mhm.
right? Because of what people projected onto you.
Right.
What is the frame that you would rather have that we could switch that out with?
The new narrative.
Yeah.
Right.
So what are the words?
Yeah. What is the belief now that you want to have?
That I'm not.
Yeah.
That I can be. You know, that I am successful.
That right there.
Right.
In the affirmative, I am a genius.
Yeah.
I am magnificent.
I am a business owner.
I am a
Yeah.
business owner, and own that because it's true.
Right.
So whenever the purging happens at the moment of, oh, I'm an idiot. No, switch. I am a genius.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
A lot of
that.
I ams. Just be
Yeah.
walking around with a lot of I
Yeah.
ams. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Right?
the I am frame is so powerful
Mhm.
because when you claim it to be and you feel it in your body,
Mhm.
because there's a difference between you're like, yeah, I'm a genius, you know?
Right.
There's a huge difference in because the constant narrative in your head that's so loud is I'm stupid. And I feel that too.
Mhm.
Like I have that fucking Caleb's talk about that all the time,
Mhm.
you know?
Ass.
It is. It's like brought
Caleb's
up
an
all,
ass.
all the time. You know, it's like tax season, and then in my head, I hear this voice that I heard up until my mom passed.
Mhm.
Right? Is that, you know, forever I worked for her, and she would like verbally tell customers, "Oh, she would run this place into the fucking ground. I wouldn't give her a fucking year.
Mhm.
You know, I'd rather give it to a stranger off the street, you
Mhm.
know, and live in that and have people looking at me, telling me that's my mom
Right.
just never said really nice things about me.
And the
you know?
purge happens with the not identifying with that anymore.
Yeah.
And also, what did your mom do at the restaurant? And look what you've done with the restaurant. Regardless of what's going on with our administration and the price of whatever, there's no way that place would have survived
Yeah.
without you managing it the way that you have. You know what I mean? Like, so like it has to do with, I feel like it's like, when then there's truth, and the
Mhm.
truth is you are brilliant. I'm not even joking. Like, you're phenomenal. You just don't see it. And, and you hear, because she was such a prominent person in your life, that's what you hear.
Yeah.
And you loved her so much.
I did.
I know. So it's hard. So it's hard to hear, but
Yeah. She didn't tell her the things that she needed to hear.
Oh no.
And she would say the good things to other people, but not to Gina.
Have you thought or heard of shadow work? Yes.
what's that? Well, I just got chills and why?
Yeah, so we talk about, mentioned Jung a lot. Jung was the person to really define the shadow, the human shadow, right? So shadow is the unconscious beliefs and habits that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's the unconscious belief, which is I'm stupid. And then there's a habit associated with that belief and a physiological, emotional neural connection of when that happens, you get defeated. I suck. You know, I'm not
There's those chemicals.
successful, right?
Right.
Wow.
So shadow work is addressing the aspects of yourself at younger ages, you know, and really being the voice that you would want to have heard in those moments. So it comes down to having those conversations with your younger self, your inner child, like, oh, you're amazing. Yeah. Oh, you're such a bright joy, you know? And then having those conversations, or even journaling, writing a letter to yourself, acknowledging yourself for all that you've been through. Oh, my dear 5-year-old self, You were so beautiful, so playful. Your smile was vibrant. Everybody loved to be around you. And then that translates into the visceral feeling. And it takes time. But addressing those parts of you will support the healing of letting the belief that you're an idiot, when that's just a belief, it's a choice. I could choose to believe I'm a genius.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Because no matter what you say about her, you know, if she doesn't believe it,
I could feel it bouncing off of her.
Yeah. So that's my experience. I'm like, I want to be confident. Motherfucker, I'm confident as hell, but it's because I don't own it. You know, I don't own the trust in myself that I can show up courageously, you know, when all your results speak to that everybody sees it, but you're like, oh, you know, so it's like, that's the beautiful thing about it. It's like, you have all the answers.
Yes, she does.
You have all the answers, you know?
She's like, I don't want to have all the answers.
I want to not have the answers.
Right?
What about you, Andy?
I was sitting here trying to think of something maybe a little more. I think it has to do with like mental clutter. And with this mental clutter that I have, I find it very difficult to accomplish tasks. I end up spending, like I'll hyper focus on something instead of time blocking and doing what I need to do. But so much of it has to do with my mind. Just I need to streamline and I need to purge things that I don't need to be even dealing with or thinking about or handling, whether it be at that moment or ever, you know what I mean? Instead of allowing them to dictate my time and my focus. I don't know if I'm making sense.
You are.
I am. Okay. Mm-hmm. Anyway, have any thoughts for me? I'm all looking to my guru.
My guru, Robbie.
My guru, Robbie.
Confucius say. No, so with I think honestly, a lot of the clearing comes down to cleanliness, right? So the disorganization in our life translates into disorganization in our mind.
And weirdly, if you went it's like my house isn't not organized. It's like that is like a facade compared to what's like my brain is like. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm starting to get that part under control. I'm almost, I feel like I'm a fake sort of because I'm getting this under control, but this is still like overwhelmingly cluttered.
So imagine the thoughts in your head, or your head is a room or a garden, right? And you use this illustration. So in the garden, right, you water flowers and you pick the weeds,
right?
You know, so tending to your garden and addressing what's a weed and what's a flower. Boom, something comes up. Oh,
I love that.
Yeah,
I know.
I just thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Resonated.
That was really good. Yeah.
And I find also that I overwater my garden when I try to overlove or put too much time into it. And then at other times I don't water it at all.
Yeah.
And it dies and it withers away.
Sometimes we water the weeds. We're like, why am I? Instead of just picking it.
This is so
good.
I'm
so glad we were recording.
We're in.
Oh my God.
We love you. We're just going to
Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
Every time you visit, you're coming home to Rooted Warriors.
Let's go.
I'm going to be like calling Robbie now, being like, I'm having this problem.
Seriously.
Through my garden.
What's your hourly charge? I want to be you when I grow up. That was good. Thank you. What about you, Mo? Now you're on the spot.
So, I've been listening a lot. And one of the things that also stood out to me was when Robbie said something and then Gina's like, oh my God, I already heard that today. And then I said, it's like he speaks, meaning God speaks, and he wants to make sure you're listening. And then you guys were talking about I am. Well, God said, I am that I am, right?
The great I am.
Yeah. No, I am that I am is what God said. Okay. So that also made me think. Then I started thinking, what is an unproductive habit that I have? And it's not being in the Word, not opening myself to listen and hear Him speak. So I am going to go back to listening to God speak and being in His Word. So that way I can hear, I am that I am.
That is such a great one. And it's seriously like the most life-changing one that I've ever experienced.
So that's a little mini goal for me on the mental note.
What a great podcast.
I love
This
you,
is-
Mo.
I'm gonna like
I know.
listen to this all the
too.
time.
So
I need a reminder.
It's gonna be awesome to listen to this back over and over 2025,
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
sit and let these things marinate. You know,
Yes.
because these are tools and technologies that get to be practiced over a prolonged period of time. You
Yeah,
know?
100%.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great podcast, Robbie. Thank you so much for sitting in with us again.
Big hugs to you. Seriously.
Our little
I love you
guru.
guys.
This is Mighty Mo wrapping up another empowering episode of Rooted Warriors. As we step into 2025, let's commit to purging what holds us back and rebuilding with a purpose. Remember, small steps leading to big transformations, and every mini goal is a victory on this journey. Feel blessed, be blessed.